To discuss the Canadian election and the intersection of faith and politics, we're joined by Ray Pennings. He is the co-founder of Cardus, a leading Canadian think tank, and publisher of Comment magazine. He has written widely about religion and Canadian public life. Ray, thanks for coming back with us. How have tariffs affected the Canadian election? We just went through an overview of tariffs here in the United States. Is there one candidate leaning over another in the strength of their response?
Interestingly, both candidates have virtually identical responses to the tariffs. So really, it has become a question very much of an assessment of capacity rather than position relating to tariffs. Tariffs have become the dominant question in this election, and not just tariffs, but more broadly, our relationship with the United States. Obviously, the rhetoric that came from the president regarding Canada as a 51st state and its continuance over an extended period of time, the declaration that no, he would not invade Canada, but that he would seek to, sort of make us a 51st state by economically destroying us, was treated as an insult by many Canadians, and it had two effects. Number one, it rallied everyone towards a nationalism and a certain anti-Americanism, to be candid, that is almost universal across the political spectrum, and every political party has responded to that. And secondly, it made the 77% of Canadians' exports go to the United States. It overshadowed every other issue, and now the single ballot question has become who is best capable of negotiating with President Trump.
Well, it's certainly been the subject of many political ads, and the background of these two candidates couldn't be more different. Mark Carney is the former governor of the Bank of Canada and an economist, and Pierre Poilievre has a background in diplomacy and statecraft. Might that change or sway voters' minds because of these circumstances?
Yeah, Mr. Poilievre was one of the youngest elected members of Parliament. He's been a parliamentarian. He is probably one of our most skilled politicians on his feet. He has a tremendous grasp of the issues, and he's understood that. However, Canadians know him through his role as an opposition leader, of speaking against things, whereas Mr. Carney has a profile as the governor of the Bank of Canada and a certain statesman-like persona, even in how they present themselves and everything else. I think the Liberal Party, interestingly, Mr. Carney just took over in March as the Prime Minister from Mr. Trudeau. Ironically, he has radically reversed many of Mr. Trudeau's policies, and it seems in the campaign that whenever the Conservatives put forward a new idea, the Liberals are very shortly following with a very similar idea with only a few tweaks. So the party, certainly in the campaign, has done all that they can to remove policy differences between them and to make it almost entirely about personality and competency.
Well, let's talk about these policies being reversed. The Liberal Party under Trudeau ushered in the assisted suicide regime that has Canada right now leading in deaths by euthanasia. Will they keep that policy, or is there room for change?
The Conservative Party, right now, the policy as it exists will continue. There is a proposal actually to expand the policy to allow for advanced consent. And right now, that is scheduled to come into applicability in March of 2027. The Conservatives are on record of not proceeding with that. The Liberals have made no real clear policy on it, but their party's constituency is certainly advocating for euthanasia and its expansion. And candidly, the issues of tariffs and economy and affordability have overshadowed it, that apart from a few advocacy groups on this issue, it really has not penetrated the campaign.
And on issues of morality, when you look at both candidates, is there one or another that looks like they will represent Catholic values, traditional values?
Well, certainly, if we take a look at the leaders, there's some reason for concern. But if we step back to the parties, the Conservative Party certainly has a significant number of candidates that would be church-attending, pro-life supporters. That vote, that constituency, and those members of Parliament are almost exclusively in the Conservative Party. Mr. Trudeau actually made a policy for the Liberal Party that if you were pro-life, you could not even run. That would disqualify you from running for the Liberal Party. So the result is the caucus, after a decade of that policy, the caucus and the constituency of that party is certainly on the progressive side of almost every one of those issues. In terms of their personal beliefs, both Mr. Carney and Mr. Poilievre have said unequivocally they are pro-choice and have no interest in opening that issue. And of course, in the Canadian political environment right now, it is challenging to take on those issues, just given where the population is at.
And they're both Catholic.
Mr. Poilievre was raised by he was adopted by Catholic parents who actually, as a teenager, he went to pro-life rallies. He is not, he's very careful about his own views, but is generally seen to be non-religious.
And Mr. Carney?
Mr. Carney is a regularly attending Catholic.
So he claims. Poilievre is largely considered a libertarian-style conservative, and Carney is a liberal focused on the economy rather than social policy, is how I would characterize them. Would you characterize them the same way, and is that unusual?
I would, with one caveat, actually. Mr. Carney wrote a book entitled Values and actually makes fairly explicit attempts to link his values of solidarity and especially his concern for the environment to fairly progressive ideas as manifested in policy. So while a lot of this is economic, he actually explicitly in his book that he wrote prior and in many of his speeches prior links his faith to some of his policies. Mr. Poilievre is much more libertarian and transactional in terms of how he views these things, but he has a party and a constituency that certainly would be far more articulate about the link between their own faith and moral issues.
And how have religious leaders reacted to this election? Are they choosing one side over another?
There is, in Canada, a lot of caution on the part of religious leaders. I don't think we sort of have the sort of organized religious right or political organization that overlaps with religion in the same way as you might have in the United States. So there is certainly disproportionate within certain faith communities alignment, but religion, it tends to be lay leaders as opposed to clergy that are at the front of that.
Well, thank you so much, Ray. We'll be praying for this election and looking to you for additional analysis.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.